Rick Revel, Mr. History, brought to you in part by Dixie Gun Works in Union City, Tennessee.
Mr. Richardson, I'd like to introduce you to the many faces of war.
Who are all these people? They don't look a thing like they're supposed to look like.
I thought you told me you was at Fort Donelson. These faces, they don't look any different than the men that was captured at Fort Donelson.
Well, I was at Fort Donelson, but I guess General Grant only allowed me to see what he wanted me to see.
Sometimes we only see what we want to see.
In the film Shiloh, The Many Faces of War, New York Tribune reporter Albert D. Richardson is captured by Confederate cavalry and ends up in a heated discussion with Dr. Finus Bell. Richardson is a firm believer that the Confederate Army is comprised of nothing but white soldiers who are fighting to preserve slavery. In his own writings for the Tribune, he has stated those same beliefs as fact. As Dr. Bell introduces the reporter to some of the soldiers, Richardson has an eye-opening moment. As he sees firsthand the many faces of war, he learns of black Confederates, who are both freedmen of color as well as slaves. And much to his surprise, not only does he learn of Native American Confederates, he learns of Tejano Confederates. On today's episode of History Highway, we're going to explore the Tejano Confederate and the part he played during the war.
One, two, three. We're gonna drive in every day, and somewhere along the way, there's a road sign with a story from the past. History is everywhere, and I'm gonna take you there. So buckle up tight, we're going there real fast. So take a ride down the history highway. We're headed right to the days of old. So take a ride down the history highway. I got the pedal to the metal and I'm letting this Chevy roll.
It doesn't matter if you're a reenactor who loves the smell of black powder in the morning on the battlefield, or a collector who admires the craftsmanship of a well-made weapon of old. Dixie Gun Works has a Pedersoli just for you. And not only does Dixie Gun Works have a warehouse full of Pedersoli reproduction firearms, they have an incredible collection of antique firearms. Inside the pages of their huge catalog, you will find gun parts, shooting accessories, reenactor clothing, camping supplies, and even some big guns if you like to burn a lot of powder. Dixie Gun Works is located in Union City, Tennessee. But for your convenience, visit our online store at www.dixiegunworks.com or call 1-800-238-6785. I traveled to Chapel Hill, Tennessee, to the boyhood home of Nathan Bedford Forrest to meet with Rich Garcia, the descendant of a true Tejano Confederate. Being a fellow reenactor, we both decided to wear period clothing so we'd feel more at ease as we set foot on the front porch of a house that was built during the 1820s. It's a beautiful day, Rich.
Yes, the wind's blowing strongly. Sun's in our faces. It's a beautiful day to be in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day. You know, speaking of Tennessee, you know, I do a lot of Crockett impressions and go along talking about David Crockett, and I always try to include the Tejanos that were at the Alamo. But I tell you what, Sam Houston really relied on them too. San Jacinto. Now,
Yeah.
you can pronounce it a little more in the Spanish
Oh,
tongue.
I'll try.
So tell me a little bit more about
Well,
some of those
yeah.
of Crockett and Sam Houston.
What I read was the Tejano goes back to the 1700s.
Got you.
They're the original, they're the natives and the original settlers of Texas. They built the roads, they built the towns, they built the law, and they thrived there. When Santa Anna and the Mexican government wanted to take Texas, a very few amount of guys wanted Texas independence.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of Tejanos that wanted to fight and join Crockett. There was about 10 at the Alamo with Davy Crockett and the rest of the independence fighters. And Juan Seguin left to as a courier and ended up with Sam Houston.
He was the messenger,
Correct. He was a messenger.
saying bring in reinforcements that never
They
came.
never came. Correct.
Right.
And so from there, him and the Tejano cavalry fought with Sam Houston to beat Santa Anna.
Yes.
And the rest is history.
Yes, and the dependence on that cavalry to turn the flank and to be the key surprise element.
Yes,
That's
correct.
what I loved about it.
And it's kind of weird. I mean, you have Mexican or Tejano versus Mexican soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Families were fighting each other at the same time as the present day war between the states.
Right.
And what's unique also too is the word Tejano means, for example, in Spanish, Texas is pronounced Tejas in Spanish.
Okay.
Mexican is pronounced Mexicano. And you combine both words is a Tejano.
Got you.
Yeah, and they're really proud people. There was about 13,000 Hispanics that fought for the Confederacy. Of that amount, there was 2,500 to 3,500 Tejanos that fought for the Confederacy. Primarily, they were usually the Mexican Texans Tejanos. They fought under Hood's Texas Brigade and fought a lot of major battles.
Yes, it did.
Chickamauga, Gainesville, Manassas. And there was a few from San Antonio that fought with Granbury's 6th Texas Infantry, also known as the Alamo Rifles.
Yes.
And they were in Franklin.
Yes,
And that's
they were.
another connection to Tennessee.
And Granbury was a hard fighter.
Correct, yes.
Went is totally mounted, went to dismounted because a lot of the horses were killed or
Correct.
just died of malnutrition.
So they were here in Franklin, and they went on to fight at Chickamauga as well. There was it was kind of weird. These guys, they couldn't speak English. They were poor, they couldn't speak English. So they're fighting with the rest of the Confederates, in unknown land. This is all foreign to them. And alongside, everybody else out here, but they were kind of the outsiders, but they picked up a gun and fought for the South. And that's really unique. You have to give these guys credit because they were fighting for the South. And
Yeah.
a lot of these Yankees never seen a Mexican before.
Right.
with a big sombrero, a sombrero. And so they couldn't speak English. And one of my grandfathers, great-grandfathers, my ancestor, he was in the 8th Texas Infantry. And it was in Company C with 300 other Tejanos, soldiers, with Tejano officers. Jose Penaloza was mustered in with him. And Jose Navarro was another officer, a captain.
Right.
But the funniest thing about it is, with Jose, you're not going to believe this, Rick, but he graduated from Harvard University
I can believe that.
with a law degree.
So many during that period were far more highly educated than we give them credit for.
Correct.
We think of them as being really dumb Southern soldiers, rednecks as
Yeah.
they've been called. Some were. Some were raised on a farm and never had formal schooling,
Yeah, so
but some did.
since Jose went back home to Texas to fight, 8th Texas Infantry. They fought the Battle of Corpus Christi, St. Joseph Island, and some of the guys went on to join under Wall's Legion and fought at Mansfield.
Wow.
So they were pretty much diversified throughout the South. One of my favorites is Colonel Jose de los Santos Benavides.
Okay.
He was a merchant, a Webb County judge. His family was the founders of Laredo, and he was offered a position as Brigadier General of the Union Army when the war erupted.
Wow.
He turned it down. he believed in states' rights as well as the other Tejanos and fighting for their homes like everybody else. And he did so on the Rio Grande River or Valley.
Right.
And he had 100 victorious battles. He was never defeated. He was known as the Tejano Tiger. His troops' war cry was, their rebel yell, in my opinion, was "Viva Benavides!"
Wow.
"Viva la Confederación!" That was their rebel yell. And his most famous battle was the Battle of Laredo. They held, with 42 men, they held off a Union force of about 200 men and saved 5,000 bales of Confederate cotton.
Which was important for that time.
Which was very important at that time, because what Santos' main job was frontier defense on the Rio Grande and bringing cotton over the border. The only commerce that was coming in and out was through Laredo and the Mexican border.
Right.
It's really ironic too, because it's the same routes that immigrants are crossing to this day.
Right, that is very ironic. And I had talked with Megs Brainerd, and we talked about the Trans-Mississippi Army, which the Tejanos were part of from time to time. And they helped to keep the supply line open.
All nonstop.
Because Texas was very important for the supply line for the Trans-Mississippi, and it was the Tejanos that kept it open.
Yes, correct. They kept it open. I think Benavides, what I read was, he was protecting over 700 square miles of desert.
Wow, incredible.
No other general, field general, or colonel or officer was protecting that much amount of land, him and his Tejanos. But it was, too, was really good was, his unit was not entirely Tejanos.
Right.
There was Germans and Anglo soldiers,
right.
And the Tejanos all in together with Benavides in their command. One of his muster cards that I pulled up shows on the line, on one of the lines, it says, Santos Benavides commanding the line of the Rio Grande.
Wow.
He was the force there.
He was the force.
He was the force and his men. And it's really, in Texas, specifically Laredo, he is a hero.
Mm-hmm.
In 1971, there's an elementary school was built named Santos Benavides Elementary School. And it's still there.
Still there.
Still there. And he's a hero, folk hero, and well-respected military leader. His two brothers, Refugio and Cristobal, also fought with him. They were captains in Texas 33rd, and they were there with him through the whole time. And he finished his career out. He lived the war. He finished the war, and he became a Texas legislature and a businessman. And he died in Laredo, I think, in 1891.
Many years ago, Discovery Park of America was nothing more than a dream for Robert and Jenny Kirkland. Located in Union City, Tennessee, this world-class museum and learning center is second to none. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher planning a class trip, a parent looking for a vacation stop, or an individual who loves history and science, Discovery Park of America is the place for you. From days gone by to the future and beyond, there is something for everyone, no matter your age or point of interest. Since the year 2013, well over 1.3 million visitors have visited our 50-acre, $100 million facility. What used to be a peaceful cornfield in the countryside is now a state-of-the-art destination for you and your family. For more information, go to www.discoveryparkofamerica.com.
From the pens of the Kennedy twins comes a new literary composition. The renowned authors of The South Was Right and a dozen more publications have become known for their zeal for conservatism and Southern heritage preservation. In their new book, Jefferson Davis, High Road to Emancipation and Constitutional Government, Donnie and Ron Kennedy hold nothing back. They're quick to point out Davis's high road approach to emancipation, while Lincoln chose the low road. Never afraid of controversy and to go against the grain of the politically correct, the Kennedy twins expose how our constitutional republic of sovereign states has been transformed into a deep state of federal government. To get your copy of the book that defends President Davis and the South, go to www.kennedytwins.com. That's www.kennedytwins.com.
We're here today in Chapel Hill, Tennessee at the Forrest Boyhood Home. And I'm here with my good friend Gene Andrews and Mr. Rich Garcia. And we would like to invite you to come see this beautiful historic place and walk back in time.
Starting out as a private and making his way to lieutenant general, the tactics of Nathan Bedford Forrest are studied in military academies around the world. Come to Chapel Hill, Tennessee to see his boyhood home and take a walk back in time.
One of the things, Rich, that I always try to warn the public, and let me speak to you a moment, viewing audience, let me kind of plead with you. When you get your American history from Hollywood and from TV sources like that, most of the time, we were even discussing the new Napoleon movie, oftentimes it's brilliant, incredible cinematography, acting, but when it comes to really telling the hardcore truth, a lot of those things are missed. One of the things that's missed, and you touched on it just a few moments ago, imagine being in the battle line, hearing Tejanos speak, but on the other side, now I know you had Germans in the ranks on the south also, but imagine in Dover, Tennessee, there were German soldiers marching through that spoke fluent German. And some of the backwoods Tennesseans had never heard German before. So they're hearing German, and then when the Tejanos come in with the cavalry later on, they're speaking full-blown Mexican or
Spanish.
Or Spanish.
Yeah.
So it's just pretty incredible to know that the Civil War is more than just English-speaking soldiers.
Yes,
it was a big mix of different types of
very
soldiers.
diversified army.
Very diversified.
Very diversified.
And we think of it not being. And then you have the ones under General Waite or Waddy that are Cherokee, and we had Creek and Choctaw, so we had several others of the civilized tribes that fought for the Confederacy. So you had Native American tongue being spoken. So it's kind of interesting. The Confederate Army was very diversified.
Very diversified, and also too, can you imagine in the Yankees' eyes when they heard all this language and coming at them?
Yes.
And also too, on the sad note, when they were after the battle, when they were looking for survivors, well, everybody was talking in their own language. You know, help me, help me, por favor.
Right.
Everybody was, I need, help. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure there was a compassion there for the fallen men that could not speak English, and from both sides.
Right. Now, as a tie-in to Sons of Confederate Veterans, we're here at the Forrest Boyhood Home we spoke of earlier, and I'm sure you have some ancestors that
I have.
fought.
Correct. When I first came to Tennessee, I lived here for a while, and I went to the Wilson County Fair in Lebanon, and I met up with men from the Sons of Confederate Veterans at the Robert H. Hatton camp.
Outstanding camp.
So I was talking to them. They invited to me in a meeting, and fortunately it was that week. So I went over there, and a bunch of good guys, and we talked, and so that really interested me of the program we heard at the camp, where, you know what, I want to belong to this. So what do I have to do? When they told me. So my search started looking for a Confederate ancestor. And we finally found one. But the story was unique. When I found him, everything kind of matched the ancestry stuff. So I talked to my grandmother. At that time, I think she was 98, 99. She's 102 now still.
Wow, still living.
Still living.
Wonderful.
So what I asked her, Grandma, do we have soldados, soldiers in Spanish?
Right.
And she goes, sí, mijo. Yes, my son.
Wow.
So I figured, how am I going to ask her this? And she was telling me on the phone, she lives in California. I'm getting tired. I don't want to talk no more. I go, okay, Grandma. So I asked her in Spanish, ¿Qué colores? What do they wear? What colors? I go, verde, for modern day soldier. I asked her, azul, blue, of course, Indian, Federals. I go, Grandma, gris, gray. He goes, mijo, my son, es gris. Wow. It was gray.
How did it send chills up your spine?
Oh, yes. because
Sent chills, didn't it?
yes, because I wanted to confirm it from her because I had some names,
Right.
and there was a lot of in the Mexican culture.
Right.
It was hard finding connecting ancestry because the names are very different, you know. So I had some names, and Grandma, and I started mentioning names, and I could hear a voice light up. He goes, Mijo, I haven't heard that name in 60, 70 years.
Wow.
I mean, I was sort of rattling off for grandfather, all the way down the lineage I had, and it was all the dots were connecting.
That's
so
incredible.
when I finally told her, Grandma, who's Andres Torres Rodriguez? Mijo, it's my abuelo. It's my grandfather.
That's a direct connect.
Yeah, there it was.
Hallelujah. That's good.
I had the
That's
information.
good.
I had the
That's good.
information, but there it was.
I love it.
So I
Proud for
pulled
you.
out. I went to fold 3, and I pulled out about 6 to 8 muster cards, and they were all good. He served to the end honorably, and it's really weird on his muster cards. It shows about those cards are like 3 different spellings of Andres and Rodriguez. Okay, there's Andres Torres Rodriguez, Andres with a ADNRES with a S at the end, you know.
Right.
But they're all connected. But his muster cards showed that he had gray eyes. He was about 5'6". He was, I think, 28 years old. He was dark complected, and it shows that he was a laborer as his job. And at the very bottom it says, "We're born," it says Mexico, on his muster card.
Wow.
And I did some more research, and I realized a lot of the Mexican soldiers, their muster cards were identical. They listed them, you know, by
Right.
I guess however they did it, you know, color of their skin or whatever, because they were a little bit different than everybody else.
Right.
And most of them could not speak English. You know,
Right.
they put their mark on there.
Put the mark.
They put their mark, and so I started thinking, you know what? There was a lot of people that fought, Mexican soldiers, and I was reading this book called Vaqueros in Blue and Gray by Jerry Thompson. He's a Texas A&M professor. He lists all the major battles of the Tejanos and the Union Tejanos. There was also
Right.
Union Tejanos, and identifies every soldier that was Tejano on both sides.
Well, that's good.
So it's a really, really good book, and it lists them, you know, by name, unit, and there's a lot of famous names in there. Well, Santos is in there, but also too on the Hispanic note, there's another book called Hispanic Confederates by John O'Donnell Rosales. He was an SCV member out of Alabama, and he passed away, I think, about 6-7 years ago. But he identifies over 10,000 Hispanics.
That's incredible.
Straight across the board.
That's incredible.
And what's really unique, from Cubans to Mexicans, maybe some Puerto Ricans, they
Yes.
fought pretty much in every state. Of course, the South has the most Hispanics. But one thing that caught my eye, when people talk about the war, everybody remembers Fort Sumter.
Mm-hmm.
General Beauregard, he was a Frenchman.
Right, he was.
Okay. One of our artillery officers was a person named Gonzalez,
Right.
a Cuban.
Yes.
So you could say, this is the way I think it. You can say there were some Cuban officers at Fort Sumter, artillery officers or officer, and there was a Frenchman, Beauregard,
Mm-hmm.
that hit the start the war button,
They did.
and then we finished off with Stan Waddy,
Yes.
Native American.
The last one to surrender.
There is a place, nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
Dear friends, as an author and living historian, I travel this great country, and every time I see a church steeple and see the cross, I'm reminded that this nation was founded on strong, firm Christian principles. I've written a series of books, this one being In My Father's House, and they are available at Amazon.com. David Chaltis.
Get your copy today at Amazon.com.
Your ancestors, those stories would be lost if you did not give them voice.
And I keep going around. I dressed the way Tejano would dress. I have my sombrero. You know, I'm a reenactor with the 38th Mississippi.
Right.
And there was a lot of Hispanic soldiers, and my captain there named Don Green. He goes, "Is my, you know, as a reactor."
Yes.
Some people say, "Well, your kit doesn't fit our unit."
Right.
You have,
I hear it. Your impression just don't quite fit. Yeah.
Okay, I go, "This kit fit with the," you know. He goes, "It fits. We want you."
Right.
So I reenact with them, and I'm starting to learn more Mississippi history. But I just want to say to everybody, you got to be proud of your heritage and your culture.
You do.
And never back down what people say. You know, some people might say, "Well, you guys don't fit in," or so. It doesn't work that way. You be proud, and you get respect, and you give respect back to everybody else.
Yeah, you do.
To fit in this world.
You do.
And other than that, I just hope that the new Tennesseans learn and study the history of Tennessee and accept this culture.
That's it.
I mean, if you can eat the Tennessee food, the Southern food, you can accept the Confederate culture as well.
That's it. You can. Brother,
Thank you.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to History Highway.
My crew keeps me on the road from episode to episode, 'cause they all know I got a million stories to tell. I'm no dinosaur, it's cool to explore. What makes a country great and put the crack in the Liberty Bell. So take a ride down the history highway. We're headed back to the days of old. So take a ride down the history highway. I got the pedal to the metal and I'm letting this Chevy roll. I got the pedal to the metal and I'm letting this Chevy